Have you ever thought about setting up your own personal AI, just humming away quietly on a Mac Mini? It's a pretty awesome idea, right? That is, until the first bill comes in, and you realize it's costing you a fortune. Well, today, we are going to fix that. We're diving into how to build a powerful AI assistant that's also incredibly frugal, turning a budget nightmare into a seriously smart tool.
Yeah, this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? You know that feeling when your amazing AI project suddenly gets sluggish, or it completely forgets what you told it 5 minutes ago? Or worse, your costs just start going through the roof? It is so frustrating, and it's probably the #1 reason people just give up. But what if I told you that every single one of these problems has a specific and surprisingly simple fix? Let's get into it.
And let's talk about the biggest headache of all, the cost. It's kind of shocking, but just one active AI assistant, if you set it up the wrong way, can easily burn through $3 to $5 in API costs every single day. That's well over $100 a month for just one user. The good news? We can get that number way down. I'm talking just a few dollars a month. Here's how. Okay, so our journey starts with the hardware. We need to build the physical body for our AI assistant. And for that, we're going to use one of the best and most efficient machines for the job, the Mac Mini.
So what in the world is a headless server? It's really simple. It's just a computer that runs 24/7 without a monitor, keyboard, or mouse plugged into it. You just tuck it away in a corner and control it over the network. The Mac Mini seems absolutely perfect for this. It's tiny, it's powerful, and it barely uses any electricity. But there's a catch, a big one. The second you unplug that monitor, macOS starts to act really weird.
And here's where things get so frustrating. This is the gap between what you expect and what actually happens. You'd think your powerful Mac would just work, right? Monitor or not? But nope. Unplug the display, and for some reason macOS decides to basically turn off the graphics processor, the GPU. All of a sudden, your remote screen sharing is choppy and laggy, any screen captures look terrible and low res, and the whole machine might just decide to go to sleep right in the middle of an important task. For an AI that needs to be always on, this is a total deal breaker.
So how do we fix this mess? Well, the old school fix was to use these little hardware dongles called dummy plugs to fool the Mac into thinking a monitor was there. But forget that. Today, the solution is 100% software. We can create a virtual display that forces that GPU to wake up and give us full power. And for that random sleeping problem, it's just one simple command in the terminal, PM set, that lets us tell macOS, hey, you need to stay awake no matter what. Problem solved. No extra hardware needed.
And once you get those software fixes in place, you really see why the Mac Mini is the perfect choice. When it's just sitting there idle, it draws less than 7 watts of power. You know, that's less than most of the LED light bulbs in your house. You get this incredibly powerful always-on server that will barely even register on your electricity bill.
Okay, our AI now has a stable and super efficient body. Now for the most critical part, the brain. This is where we get really smart with our software setup to tackle those crazy API costs head on.
So here it is, the #1 mistake people make. They set up their AI assistant with a single, super powerful and super expensive AI model and expect it to do everything, from simple checks to writing complex code. This is, without a doubt, the fastest way to blow your entire budget. We need a much smarter approach.
And that smarter approach is all about changing how you think. Instead of one AI model, you create a specialized team. You use a really cheap, fast model, like Claude Haiku, as your coordinator. Think of it as a project manager. Its only job is to look at incoming tasks and figure out who should handle them. Then, and only then, if a really complex job comes along, like writing code or analyzing a big document, the coordinator calls in the expensive expert, a powerful worker model like GPT-4o, to do the heavy lifting. This one little change is a total game changer for your costs.
Now, even with the best strategy in the world, you absolutely need a safety net. This is non-negotiable. Inside your OpenClaw configuration, you set a hard daily cost limit. Here, we're setting it to $5. This means if anything ever goes wrong, if a process gets stuck in a loop, the system will automatically shut itself down the second it hits that $5 limit for the day. This one line of code is your ultimate protection against a surprise bill.
All right, next up, let's fix that annoying forgetting problem. You know, when your AI has no idea what you talked about just a few minutes ago? That's almost always a memory configuration issue. So first, you need a cheap embedding model to act like a super fast librarian for past conversations. Second, you have to prune old context, kind of like trimming a plant, to keep the current conversation sharp and focused. And finally, you turn on compaction. This is like asking the AI to write a summary of its day, boiling down long chats into just the key facts and decisions. These 3 steps together create a reliable long-term memory.
So we have the body, we have the brain. Now we need to give our AI some smart habits. These are intelligent automation patterns that make sure it runs efficiently and cheaply for the long haul.
One of the most powerful habits you can build is something called the rotating heartbeat. Instead of having 10 different background jobs all trying to run at once, we start with just one single, super cheap AI model, and all it does is wake up on a simple schedule like, say, once every 30 minutes. So, when this little model wakes up, its only job is to look at a checklist of potential tasks, things like checking your email, looking at your calendar, whatever you want. And it does one quick calculation, which of these jobs is the most overdue.
And this right here is the magic trick. It runs only that one task, just the one that's most urgent. And as soon as it's done, it goes right back to sleep. This completely avoids that expensive problem of everything firing at once, and it keeps your API calls down to the bare minimum while making sure nothing important gets missed. Pretty clever, right? It's just so incredibly efficient.
Okay, one last habit. Solving the black box problem. When you have no idea what your AI is actually working on. A fantastic solution is to connect it to a tool you already use, like Todoist. When a new job starts, the AI creates a task for it. As it works, it moves the task to your active list. And if it ever gets stuck and needs your help, it moves the task to blocked and assigns it to you. It gives you a perfect, at-a-glance dashboard of everything your AI is up to.
So when you put all of these pieces together, the stable hardware body, the smart software brain, and these efficient operational habits, you completely transform your AI. It goes from being a costly, unpredictable science project into a truly frugal and reliable co-pilot.
So here it is, the final checklist. This is what you need for a frugal AI co-pilot. First, use software to fix your headless Mac. Second, use a cheap coordinator model to route all your tasks. Third, save those powerful worker models for only the really hard jobs. Fourth, and this is a big one, set a hard daily cost limit. Fifth, use that rotating heartbeat pattern for all your background automations. And finally, use a tool like Todoist so you can actually see what it's doing. You follow these steps, and you are good to go.
All of this brings up a much bigger question. As these personal AIs get more and more powerful, is the real challenge actually building them? Or is the biggest challenge learning how to live with them sustainably, affordably, and, without them driving us nuts? Definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me.